If you want to learn an exact blueprint of how to throw the basic punches correctly, I'm going to give that to you right now. I'm going to break it down so that anybody, whether you're just starting out or if you're an experienced coach, will have an exact way to teach the basic punches correctly for boxing or for kickboxing. Guys, I'm Alan Branch from Glove Up. I've owned 4 different boxing facilities and training centers. I've coached around 150 fights of our fighters. We've got a really good record in the pros. We're 26-2, and amateurs 122-10. We have a personal fight record of 38-2, and we've applied this type of training that I learned from Joe Louis into different fighting venues. We've also used it for just boxing workouts, for fitness classes, etc. So let's glove up and let's get to it. So we've got different videos where we've broken down the stance, we've broken down the footwork. Hopefully you'll be able to check those out. I'll try to put cards here so that you can get to that. For today, we want to focus specifically on how to throw the punches. Now, I understand there's different people throw punches different way, whatever. What you need to understand is people are different. So you've got people that are faster, they're more agile. They weren't born fighters, they were born babies, and then something in their culture made them fighters. You're not a born fighter, it can be taught. Now, attributes such as speed, explosiveness, strength, size, you can't teach, but all of these things factor in, as well as your mentality of what type of fighting style you have. Some people don't have to follow parameters to do things correctly, they just hit hard, or they're just naturally fast. But most of us are not in that boat, right? We are not a 6'3", 250-pound, steroided freak who's trying to teach you how to fight. If that's not you, chances are without that size, without that what he has physically, a lot of times that stuff wouldn't really work. So we want to look at a blueprint of mechanically best way, best practices, how we feel like to throw the punches. So let's get in it. We're going to start with a jab. So again, hopefully you've already learned your 3- and 4-point stance. You've learned all your basic footwork. So we've got a good stance. When we're going to throw the jab, I want you to think that the jab for today's purposes is like a snake's tongue. We flick it, right? The jab is flicked. There isn't a lot of weight shift or torque. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. All you got to worry about is throwing it deceptively and being able to put yourself in a place to land it. So when you throw the jab, what's going to happen is the weapon, the hand, should be the first thing that moves. It's very common that people will swing the shoulder, dip the head, lean forward. They'll give it away, right? You practice letting the hand be the first thing that goes. So what it means is hand, not elbow, not head, not shoulder, nothing but the hand. The weapon moves first. So the weapon moves away from the body. The elbow pushes it up. And then you turn it over on the end. And of course, you've got 4 points of contact that we covered before. One hand up here, right hand up, elbow in, other left hand's touching the target, inside of my shoulder, touching the arm or touching the cheek, and there's my 4 points of contact, and then back. Now, the jab goes out, the elbow pushes it up, and then at 3/4 extension, we turn it over. Then we pull it back. We don't lazily let it drop back. So chest, shoulders, and triceps are involved in arm extension. So when you punch out, that's going to be delts, pecs, and triceps, okay? The second the punch lands, now you've got to retract it with the same kind of speed. Retraction is lats and biceps, so you pull it back. So you learn to boom, fire, and then retract the punch back to your guard. So as you're practicing it, you look in a mirror, you spot yourself, make sure the hand's the first thing that moves, you let the hand go, boom, and then you pull it back. The elbow rises because swinging it out, which can be used for a power type of jab, we'll cover that later, but typically for most people, swinging the elbow out is a tell sign that the punch is coming. So accuracy is the holy grail of all fighting. So I really would like to land my punches. So if I'm going to do that, probably better to not telegraph it in advance and let you know that it's coming. So I learned to release the jab, weapon first, elbow rises, arm extends, turn the shoulder over, retract. Now, the right cross, the rear punch, requires torque and rotation. You keep your elbows in close to your body. This is where your power source is. And the key things to remember on all of these punches is you don't go like the cross goes out, right? You don't go back before you go out. You release the punch from where it is. That would be called telegraphing. Just like the jab. If you drop your hand first, dip your shoulder first, it's telegraphed. With the right, people tend to pull. So I fought in a bunch of tough man and bad man contests against a wide variety of skill sets. And one thing you'll know if you're training for self-defense, people will draw that hand back before they throw it. Now, it's going to be a powerful punch, but if you can learn to identify the cue, it's pretty easy to block it and get out of the way of. So when we throw it, we got that elbow tucked in. Disregard what my left hand is doing because I'm teaching this hand right now. Elbows tucked in. I'm going to pivot on the rear foot. So I pivot. The knee hinges with the hip. The hip rotates. When the hips line up and they're square, as this hip passes this hip, we release the punch. Okay? So it goes pivot, knee, hip, hip lines up with the other hip, and as it crosses it, pull, you release. As you release, your weight hits your front leg. So best angle for you to see that. You're going to go pivot, knee, hip, and then a full extension. Now the other hand, of course, should be up, touching 2 points of contact on the left hand as you throw your right cross. So here we go on the right. It's ankle, knee, hip hinge, shoulder rotate, arm extension, roll it over. At the end of the punch, the inside the shoulder touches the inside of the chin, and then the lats pull it back. And it's a straight punch. So think like an arrow. You pull the arrow back, drop your elbow down. If you release the arrow, boom, the punch is straight down the middle. Okay? That's the cross. So you have a jab, deceptively in. As you throw the right hand, it's ankle, knee, hip, boom, full rotation on the right and back. And next you have the hook. So the hook, of course, is a bent arm punch, and you have to understand that it can be thrown at different angles. It's taught at a tight angle. You do see different fighters who get away with all types of left hooks. Keep in mind, people who are genetically gifted, they've been training for 20 years, they're the top caliber in the world, does not represent most people. It does not. So you have to learn a foundation for the punch, and then you start getting creative once you've mastered that. On the left hook, it's a bent arm punch. What we don't want to do is go out before we go across because it's easy to see it coming. So to throw a left hook, it almost in the beginning requires that your weight shift over to your left in the beginning to learn it. So the head has to go over to the left and load the left to give me something to, the power to generate. It's got to come off of that weight, off of that leg. So you're going to shift your weight over to your left, and then it's similar to the right. You're going to torque, hinge the hip, and as this hip crosses this one, that's when, boom, you lift the elbow. So it's not this and a slap. It's this, rotate, and then the hook comes up. The best way to practice that is to step and dip. So you take a step to your left, take your head to your left. Get used to the feeling of loading that leg. Then practice hinging that hip without moving your arm. Just hinge. Hinge. Now as I'm hinging, I feel the weight, shift to the rear leg. Just feel that, okay? So now as I feel it, I'm gonna lift the elbow right here, and get the hook in. So dip, your head's over here. I'm gonna pivot and hinge. Elbow's gonna lift as the hips line up, boom, and then the hook comes through. At the end of the hook, we're landing the punch here. Inside the left shoulder's touching the chin. Right hand is up, right elbow's down. And those are your, what we call your 4 points of contact. Definitely worth a watch to check out that video. So hook, over, bang. So you might be thinking, okay, so if you shift your weight over to your left, can't the other guy see the punch coming? Well, yeah, he can. So that's why you learn to set it up like with a jab. You jab and step out and then throw. Or behind a right cross. So you throw the right, your weight's already there, the head is already moved, and then it's in line to be able to throw a hook. So there are ways of getting your head over there. So you have a jab, a cross, a hook, and now on an uppercut. So on the uppercut, you don't go down before you go up. It's too easy to see it coming. It's a short range punch. So you're crouched, you're inside. So if I can't hit you with an elbow, I probably shouldn't be throwing an uppercut. It's too far out. So I'm gonna sit down, and then when we throw it, the hip again is gonna hinge and pivot and torque. And as it torques, we just disregard this hand, as just for demonstration. We're down, we torque, boom, and drive it straight up. If I am doing that, I'm on close range, 4 points of contact inside. I'm gonna dip, drive the hip, punch up. 4 points of contact are here, here, and right, left hand and left elbow. And then I'm gonna pull it back down to guard. Uppercut. So uppercut goes up. It doesn't go down and then up. And a good analogy is pretend you've got on a ball cap and you're gonna dip, boom, and you throw it up to where it would just knock off the tip of the ball cap, and then you pull it back down. And that's the uppercut. So the trick is, guys, learning to put all of these in combination. So as soon as you learn the punches, now you got to start, okay, so I can slip, I can bob, I can step back, I can turn, I can slip and counter, I can block and counter. What does that look like? And that is part of our program that we call Flow. And if you look at the description down below, we go to gloveup.pro and you can see sort of how we've broken down all of our combinations. So what you do is you learn these punches first, and then once you've learned the punches, then what we want to do is teach you how to shift your weight, how to put punches together, how to have different combinations, and then be able to use those for the bag, shadowboxing, or of course with a partner. And again, that's what we call flow. So flow it's a way to take all of your high impact, high accuracy, high reward combinations, and then link them all together, because Joe Louis said what separates the best fighters from the rest is the ability to link combinations together, put combinations together, not 1 and 2 punches at a time. It's being able to flow through whatever you're trying to learn and link your punches with head movement, defense, etc. So I'd love to have you check that out. The link is in the description of the video, or you can go to gloveup.pro. I'll try to put it up top of this video as well. Would love for you to check that out. So guys, hopefully this helps. Please comment down below and say, yeah, man, I like the way you're teaching it, or you have a different view. And again, as long as you keep it friendly, you disagree with me, man, I don't mind at all. Just keep it civil. And we're all trying to learn. So we're all trying to get better. That's the purpose of the channel. So hopefully you enjoyed the content. Till next time I see you, hands up, chin down. Remember, thank God every day that you have the strength to do one more round. See ya.